Okay, now we can wait for a delay of delay 3. So funny. But then, after that delay, we're going to want to read in from this whole freaking array of stuff. Now, there isn't stuff in well, only one of them, and that's glass, so that really can't tell us anything. So what we're going to need to do is fill that up with stone and other materials, but that'll be after we finish this. We can just take away some of these things. Oops. Don't register that. I want it back. Sigh. I am being a nuisance again. Nuisance, and it's the wrong way. There we go. Okay. Now, where was I? Okay. We'll want to read in whatever the computer is telling us. Then we'll want to take that number that we get and put it into our array. Since we don't have the array address yet, we just do array address at, then put it at the variable location of counter at, and do cells plus and put that in. Which seems good. Now, whenever we use break, we'll then want to do something more fun, which is decrement the counter. So the next time we use break, the number will go into a different location. So counter, and this is where we can use that fancy plus exclamation mark command. Hopefully, yes, it works. Okay. Now, I'm gonna have to eventually fool around with that break command since I'm not sure what type of delay will be needed for it. Probably, hopefully, it's gonna be a short delay because frankly, it would suck if it is not a short delay. Okay. So got that, and next thing we're going to need to do is, well, the thing I'm looking at is a different piece of code which is going to be very complex. But anyways, I'm just looking at my start command, which is annoying to do. But anyways, let's go and do some more coding. Now, I simplified my code quite a bit more. It's pretty much exactly the same code as this mobile quarry unit, except it's a bit more civilized in the fact that it actually uses the plus x and minus x and all those commands. Oh, I can hardly wait. I'm being creepy again, aren't I? Okay, so going left. Left will be in the plus x direction. Wait a second, we forgot to add a few more variables. Blah. Dag foi. Without the foo. Okay. We need to add positionings of our locations. Now remember in the previous design we had those lil x, lil z, and the height variables. This time we're going to make it a little more sane. By putting a variable big X, this will be our x direction. A variable big Z, that'll be our z direction. And, I don't know if you will know this, but we will do a variable big G. Yes, we're going to be using variable G. No, we are not. That's crazy talk. Variable big Y for our Y direction. These will tell our location in the grid. Now, this grid will be very special, and all of these locations, the X, Y, and Z, or X, Z, and Y, will be pitted against our width, depth, and height, and say whether we finished our quarry or not. So, first, let's go left. Go left, as I said before, is plus X. Then we'll want to decrement our big X. Confused yet? So, let's see. Say we have a grid like this. This will be our X direction, this will be our Z direction, and the place I'm flying right now is our Y direction. Whenever we go right, we'll want to increase our counter by 1 for x. When we go up, go forward, it will be plus 1 for z. But when we go left, it will be minus 1 for x. Now, unfortunately, that means when we go positive x direction, it means that we're subtracting 1 from x, which may confuse some people. So if you're confused right now, join the club. Now, when we do that, we'll go to the location. How did a zombie get here? How did you survive that long? Wow. Anyways, when you do that, we'll want to break and analyze the block underneath, and then go from there. Now, you're probably wondering, don't you start at the corner and then when you move, you'll just pass by that block? So you're starting here. Your commands right now are telling it to move, then break the block. So that means this break block will still be there. Well, when you use the start command, similar to the start command in there, it doesn't only reset the coordinates and all that. It'll actually break and analyze the block underneath it to start with. Also, depending on the height and the dimensions, it'll actually move the quarry to the appropriate corner. So depending on the how it happens, it can either start in the bottom right, which it would be right now, or it'll be the top right. Sorry, this is bottom left. It'll be at the bottom left, or the top left, or the top right. It will never start over at the bottom right because it's not right enough. Funnily enough, hey? Okay, so we got the go left. Go right will be similar. We'll go in the negative x, actually increase the counter, and then we'll break. Now this is a lot smaller than the other ones. Now go forward will be a lot simpler than the one we did earlier in our quarry, since we just plus z, and we actually increase our z counter by 1. Now we only need to do one movement because since it is a 1 by 1 head, really it's 1 by 1, there's nothing else to it. We can't really do anything else. We can't do like 5 movements because that would kind of break what we're doing. Then we do go forward. Oh, crud. Black! Hoping I didn't mess it up, did I? Hoping not. Okay. Not to worry, I'll only find out when I am doing the quarry, but no, nothing to be worried about. Nothing at all. And go down will be minus y. Subtract 1 from the y position by decrementing the counter, and then we break. Ooh, that was fun. Now, I don't want to test break yet since I don't really have anything, and if I tested break right now, it would totally screw up the code because currently the address is at 0, which would, the array address, so it'd probably overwrite something a little crucial. Yeah, crucial is a good word. So let's continue and go with something a little more interesting and probably would help a lot. Let's see. r.test. The r.test will be not really a test, but something that... Okay, let's try explaining this better. Remember in our quarry, for the right.f, left.f, right.b, left.b, we continually copied out the same thing over and over again. So 2 of them had the same thing as each other and etc. Using right.test, r.test, l.test, f.test, and b.test, we'll be able to mix and match the correct ones. So for instance, right.f, the one that we had, we'll use r.test and f.test. I'm probably explaining it horribly, so let's go. This time, we're not going to have a kill switch to end it. We'll have a key. Key question mark does, well, what do you expect it to do? It's not really good in the name. Key question mark, basically when you press a key, it sets a flag on key question mark until it prints it out. So it'll return true if someone pressed the key. Therefore, you can use it in conjunction with our other things and do the stuff we were doing earlier. Or inverse. Wow. So instead of having kill, we're using key. It'll make it a lot easier. So our.test starts with this simple statement. So whenever we want to end the program, we just press a random key, which will be a lot easier. Now for this, since it's our.test, we'll want to go right and then repeat. And then that will end it. But we want to do other things than just that. We'll also want to do f.test. This will be testing and the test that we use when we want to go forward. Key, inverse, if, let's see. Since how I want this is that our array will have it so that x, y, and z will start at 0 at the very bottom corner. So that means that we will want to have z starting at 0. So this direction will start at 0, indicating the rows of our quarry. Now the problem is, in our previous quarry code, we have it start at 1. So pretty much every single point where it would have been a number, we have to subtract 1 from that number from, say, the depth. So in this case, depth will have to have 1 subtracted from it. And then compare it to our location. And if they are equal, we can stop. Checking previous code. That seems good. Okay. So once again, there are 3 points that we're wanting to look. If they're equal, if it's greater than, or if it's less than. Equal, we'll want to add 1 to z. However, if depth, subtract 1, is greater than z, or rather z, the current position, is less than the depth, the maximum that we need to go, we will then want to go forward again because we know that there is still more to go. So 1 minus z at greater than if. If it is, we'll want to go forward. And then to close off everything, we'll want to do another then and semicolon. Hopefully checking all of our errors. Our other than to close it off because we already know what the less than is. We want to do nothing if it's less than. Nothing, nothing, nothing. I'm a bit crazy, yes. So now to get to the point where I was, the r.test and f.test. So if we have our right.f, instead of the freaky coding that we wanted to do earlier, all you'd have to do is do r.test and f.test. Ta-da! A lot easier than earlier. Okay. So I'm going to take a quick break, then start again with the left.f and etc. Be right back. Now that's better. Now let's get back to the coding fest. Okay, we got the f.test and the r.test. We need to do other tests. We want to do the l.test. Okay, the l.test will be telling whether we got to the farthest point of L, the left. So we want to compare it, instead of with the maximum, we will want to compare it to the minimum. In L's case, it will be, let's see, in L's case, it will be the minimum of 0. Yes, that's it. Okay. We'll want to compare X. Inverse and while. Or inverse, that's pretty much nor. And then when that happens, we will want to go left instead of go right. So go left and repeat. Okay, so then, yep, that's the end of it. Don't want to continue because that's the other stuff. So we got L.test. At least I think so. Now let's do B.test before we do all the other words. Similar to F.test, F.test tells when we got to the maximum. B.test tells when we get to the minimum in the Z direction. So for that, we'll want to check the minimum. But we'll have to check if it's the key. Did the key end it? If not, we can continue. There's two. We're comparing it to 1. There are a few cases. If they are equal, what we'll want to do is decrement the counter until we get Z to 0. However, if Z is greater than 1, we'll want to continually move backwards. So Z at 1 greater than if, go backward. Then, semicolon. When that's finished compiling, we can compile 3 more words. Let's do left.f, which will require the L.test and the F.test. Then we'll do left.b, which will do the L.test and the B.test. And finally, right.b will do the left.b, L.test, B.test, done compiling, right.b, B, not F, R.test, and B.test. Okay, there we go. Now that that's done, we can do the full forward and the full backwards. First, let's save this off as our base 1. Base 1. Base of 1 would suck a bit. 1, 1, 1, 1. That's kind of unary. Anyways, I have a unitrack mind, don't I? No, I don't. It'd mean I'd be able to focus more. Anyways, full forward is going to be a bit different. Since Z will be 1 less than it is normally for our quarry, we will have to switch our modulus statement a bit. So full forward. Once again, begin key Z at depth at 1 minus greater than or inverse while, I'm not even explaining this, aren't I? Okay, so at that point is basically telling was the key pressed and is the Z at its maximum or minimum rather. If not, we can continue. Okay. While that's the case, what we'll do is then take our Z at 2/mod, and wait for the blasted compiler to catch up. Catch up, compiler, you stupid little computer. Ha! I get angry sometimes. So slash mod drop, so we just get stuck with the modulus. And check if it's 0. If it's 0, we'll want to do right.f. If it's not 0, we'll want to do left.f. Then repeat. Once again, compiler is slow. Waiting, there we go. Then repeat. And then we'll want to do the simple key, question mark, inverse, if, go down, then. So if the key's not the thing that ended the statement at up there, it'll go down. Perfect. Well, not perfect, but anyways. We'll then want to do a similar thing with the full backward. We'll want to do begin, key, question mark, z at 1 greater than, or inverse, while. So, oops, that would be a bad thing to mess up. Z at 1 minus. So it's basically testing if it's at its minimum. If it's not, might as well get the correct keys, shouldn't I? If it's not at its minimum, it'll continue. If it is at its minimum, it will break out of the thing. So while that is true, it'll take the z at 2/mod drop. Compiler, why are you so slow? 0 equals if we will do right.b, else left.b, then repeat. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it takes a bloody long time for this to compile. I think I've said that before. Did I? Really? Are you sure? It will go down! Yeah. Okay, now that that's done, we should do the resume. I have yet to complete the code for this, so I might do a few errors on the way. So, resume.d. So, resume the deconstruction or the destruction. Ooh. So, begin. This, all of it, is only looking at my quarry notes and not the previous notes. So, we'll want to begin until we get to the point where we are done the counter. So we'll have to take the counter, and as long as the counter is greater than 0, we can continue our magical adventure. Or inverse. Wow. So while that's the case, we'll need to take our y at, divide it, /mod, 2/mod, catch up, compiler, dang it. Breathe away, breathe. It's only trying to annoy you. Okay, y at 2/mod. Drop 0 equals if. Now this is the part I'm going to be a little confused at. So 0, 1, 2. Dang lag killing my demonstration. So it ends when it gets to there. So it'll want to go backwards when it's 0. So we'll want it to go backwards if it's that. Else we want to go forward. Full forward, full backwards. Then repeat. Hooray, hooray, we got resume.d. A lot of work for such a simple machine, you know? Who's the simple machine? Yes, you are. Oh, look, there is actually a cabin space. Nice and cozy, and you can't fall out as much. But, you know, having dishes in your face is not the best. Especially when it comes out of your gut. Oh no, it's out of me, no. That looks very creepy, so I'll end that. Okay. Going back. Let's see. We got resume D. That's perfect. Now let's save. Base. And let's restart it, see how much free space we have. We got 6936 bytes left. Now, we're going to need to add 3 more RAM bytes, probably because they're in bytes. Funny. Hey, I'm laughing. Shut up. I kill you. Okay. So we got the resume.d done. We're still not sure about the timing of the quarry, so what we should do is test break. Now, it's delay 3, right? Okay, so what we should do is have only one direction that it can go. So we're going to need to destroy all but that direction. So temporarily remove mag tubes from system. Have a nice day. So, okay, good. We'll want to continually test break, but we'll need to put our array at a very high point. So let's just make an array. We're not going to save this, okay? Keep that in mind when I reboot it. I'm going to hear that one person go, no, at the very end of it because he forgot what I was saying. Stupid kid. Okay, 30. Let's see, we got to create an array. Create test 20 cells plus cells a lot. Cells a lot. Cells a lot. Good. So we create an array called test. Now let's test. Let's test. See its address. Take 9459 and put that in the address. So array address. There we go. So array address is that. And set the counter to 19. 19 counter. And there. So what we're going to do is basically go upwards from 20 to 30 and continually breaking and checking it. So what we should do is test with that and do break. It doesn't need anything in it, though. Let's just test it with it. The glass is the thing that's going to go anyways, so it doesn't matter. Stop lagging. I hate the lag. It is annoying. Okay, let's test this. Okay, break. Now, did we get anything in 19? Let's check counter. It should be 18. Good. So in 19, so test 19 create, no, not create. Test 19 cells plus at, we probably have 0. Yes, we do. So what we should do is do a bit of a test. So let's do testing and do an interesting word for this. This little funny code will be doing something funny. So let's do 15 movements. So 15, 0, do. This will be a do loop. The do loop, this is going at the top of my head. the do loop will increment delay 3 by 1. It'll then, no, first it'll break, so that'll decrement the counter, and then in doing so, it'll also increment delay 3 by 1. So 1, delay 3 at, plus exclamation mark, yada yada. Now the problem is that I won't be able to easily see this. So it'll be a bit of a shot in the dark. So let's just go through testing and see how well it does. It'll go 15 times. So obviously that's not long enough delay. It's going a bit slower. Okay, I honestly don't think it got anything in that. Okay. Test 4 cells plus at. And I'm guessing it got nothing from that whatsoever. Nah. So that was a failure, definitely. So let's put 40 delay 3. And if there was some way to test like when it's lighting up, like when I just can't put words to my mouth or something similar, like, okay, that's probably too much though, whatever. Counter, however, has a value of 3 right now. So break, I'm guessing it takes like 3 seconds for that to work. About 3 seconds. So that probably got nothing, whereas this might work. 60 delay 3. Wait, that was interesting. I can see when it lights up, so let's... That might have worked, so let's check. Counter at, it's right now at 0, so let's check test 1 cells plus at, etc. So this might give us something. If it does, we got it. If we will have it if it works. No, dang it. We need to decrement it slightly, so 55 delay 3 that. Turn counter to this again to 20. Oops, 19. So it's at 19 now. Let's break it. That might have worked. So let's check test 19 cells plus at that. If it gives us something, give us 1, give us 1, give us 1. Dang it! Okay, I'm going to continually test this until I get it. I'll let you know what the magic number is. Until then, sit tight. Okay, I think I found out the reason why it was being such a pain in the keyster. The problem with the break statement was the fact that the I/O expanders are a little fickle in nature. They're a little fickle in nature in the fact that, well, if you have two that are the exact same address, they don't like each other. What happened was they were both set at 3, and what I was just doing was doing a blanket IOX at and seeing if I could get, well, I thought that it'd read both of them and see which ones are on, but I was mistaken, and, well, I've rectified that. Now, I modified the break statement. You can see it up near the top. I just changed it so that it would change the address of the IOX expander to 4. Then it'll read it in. Then it'll turn it back to 3 and record it into the stuff. Then I did a testing word and just saw that any tick delay between 45 and 50 will be perfect. So I'm guessing a tick delay of 47 will be what we will be going with. So if we just reboot our system to clear that word of testing and test, we'll put 47 as the delay 3. Now, some of you are probably wondering and yelling out loud, "Hey, you broke your system. Why did you do that?" And then there'll be that one person in the back going, "Huh?" Basically, to modify the break word, I had to delete everything from it up to the break word that I had to modify. So, I no longer have it coded, which sucks. However, it will be easy to recode the entire system. Now that I have it done once, I still have my modified notes, so I can do it again and then test if it works. Now, I did modify this so that the ender chest is under here, and then there's this, and then basically modified it so that there's less tube space and fluff that's needed to go through. So what I'm going to do is recode the entire thing again. The code will be exactly the same, so you don't have to watch me recode it. And I'm going to cover this up because, frankly, it looks ugly. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of EEPower. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. Way of Time, signing off. Have a wonderful day.